What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex Yu, and you're watching the Ragin Ronin review. I got a top 10 list for you guys. Actually, I got a top 13 list for you guys. And the main reason why is because, well, I didn't come up with 10 films. I came up with 13 films, and I didn't feel like leaving out the other 3. And this list is for my top 13 films that I watched in the theaters that ended up sucking. Like, these movies sucked. And I wanted to walk out of the theater. Okay, maybe I didn't want to walk out of the theater per se, but I just wanted it to be over because I'm just really having a terrible time in the theaters. And I just want to clarify something. When I say these are my top films that I saw in the theater that sucked, I'm talking about films that I watched in the theater, and then I realized that this is a bad film in the middle of the film, and I wanted it to get better, but then it never ended up getting better. In fact, it ended up getting worse, and I ended up feeling disappointed or upset walking out of the theater. That's what I mean by films that I watched in the theater that sucked. I'm not talking about films that I watched at home that sucked. I'm not talking about films that I watched in the theaters and enjoyed at that time and then realized it sucked later. I'm talking about a sucky theatrical experience. That's what I'm talking about. Paying to watch a movie in the theaters and then coming out of the theaters saying that I wanted my money back. Okay, well, I would never do that because I made a choice. I think it's really stupid when people say that they want their money back. But what I mean is that I came out of the theaters telling myself, man, that movie sucked. I can't believe I paid to watch that. That's what I'm talking about, okay? So I just want to clarify that because people are going to say, like, what about all these other crappy movies? Well, I didn't actually watch those movies in the theater. You might have even watched them when you got home. So I'm just saying that these are movies that I had a crappy theatrical experience with because the movie itself was that bad, okay? So without further ado, let's start off with number 13, Transformers: The Last Knight. Oh my God! For a movie that is the 5th installment that I had so much investment into this franchise, this film really disappointed me, man. I walked out of the theater with, like, no words because I went into the theater with super sky-high expectations, and maybe that's my fault. But I actually really enjoyed the previous one, Age of Extinction. I enjoyed the hell out of that film, and then I was expecting this to be, like, better. But then it ended up being one of the worst movies I've ever seen in theaters, and then, yeah, I got pretty emotional about that. So that's number 13. Number 12, The Counselor. This is a film directed by Ridley Scott, one of my favorite directors of all time. And it stars Michael Fassbender, one of my favorite actors of all time. And this movie was so bad. Like, it had no direction. And I have a theory as to why that is. And that is because this movie was filmed during the time that Ridley Scott's late brother Tony Scott actually committed suicide, and I'm positive that it affected him emotionally. Of course it did, and it affected his ability to give good direction. And you can see when you watch this movie that this film has no direction. It's just a series of sequences that really feel like they don't matter. So it's really unfortunate overall for what happened because I think that there could have been a better film. Number 11, The Predator. This was the latest installment in the Predator franchise, and it only had one good scene in the entire movie. It's the scene where the Predator's asleep in a lab, and then he wakes up and starts killing everybody. That was awesome. The rest of the film was garbage. Man, and I wanted to see a good movie because it's directed by one of the guy who... oh, I forgot the director's name, and I really like this director too. He directed The Nice Guys, and he was Shane Black. Yeah. So Shane Black directed The Predator, and I figured that for someone who actually acted as a character in the first film, I thought he would have a better idea of what fans would want to see in the latest installment. Turns out he didn't have a clue and gave us just like everything that the fans didn't want to see because it ended up sucking. So that's really unfortunate. I was pretty disappointed with this film. That's unfortunate because I do like the Predator. I like the idea of the Predator, and the first one was amazing. Number 10, Independence Day Resurgence. Now, this was a completely unnecessary sequel. This film was a total cash grab. This film was a sequel to a highly financially successful film, and they wanted to repeat that success. so many years later, and it was a bad idea. Because all they're doing is giving us a rehash of everything they gave us before, but they made it worse. Like, and you know, I'm just thinking to myself, like, how can you actually make this better? Like, they gave us one of the greatest alien invasion movies of all time, and like, it's so much fun, but then like, how could they possibly even make that better? Especially when you remove some of the best aspects about it, and that's Will Smith. So we don't have that chemistry anymore between Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum and Bill Palmer. We don't have that anymore. You bring those characters back as a gimmick to just try to sell the movie, but it just doesn't work. So that's really sucky. Number 9, The Happening. I didn't even pay to watch this movie. This was watched at a free screening, and even the guy hosting it told us that, okay, well, you know, there's no reviews out there because, like, he was trying to tell us that it sucked, but he's not allowed to say that, okay? I don't remember the exact words, but he did say that he was implying that the movie sucked, and that's why there are no reviews out there. And he was just saying, like, enjoy the show for what it's worth. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, yeah, that was a silly movie. Like, M. Night Shyamalan, on a streak of crappy movies, this was one of them. So glad I didn't pay to watch that movie. Number 8, Fantastic Four. Had high expectations for this film, hoping that they would make a better film than the previous ones. This one ended up being so bad. Oh my god, no need to talk about it. Number 7, War, starring Jet Li and Jason Statham. This movie was delayed they kept on delaying this film. I think it was Lionsgate or like the studios or another studio. They kept on delaying this film because it had like they just didn't care. The studios knew that they had a crappy movie. I was in this film. You don't see me. I was an extra in this film. It was filmed right here in Vancouver. I was in the same breathing space as Jet Li and Jason Statham. As a matter of fact, I even had a physical interaction with Jason Statham. I waved at him. He waved back. And Jet Li touched my back. Okay? So, but when I watched the film, oh, it was garbage. It was garbage. Now, only one thing, well, a couple good things came out of it. I made some friends. I talked to some other extras, and I made some friends that to this date I'm still friends with and became really good friends with. Okay, so yeah, it was on Netflix, by the way, and it was saying it was one of the top trending movies, but it's garbage. Number 6, Gamer. I wanted to watch a film which had which the subject matter was these people participating in online games, and like a lot of the sequences would be online gaming sequences. I thought that would make for a really fun and interesting movie. It is so bad. It is so bad. And, oh man, I feel really bad about this film because I actually dragged my brother to watch this movie, telling him that it's going to be a good movie. It's going to be such a good movie because it's about gaming, right? But then when we watched it, it was garbage. It was so bad that it made me feel uncomfortable for him, okay? Number 5, this movie's completely forgettable. Like, I could not believe how forgettable it was. Like, I don't even know what I watched. Gods of Egypt. Like, I don't know who was in it. I don't know what they were talking about. I don't know what I saw. I just came out of theater and, like, that was it. I don't know what the hell I just saw. That's, like, whatever. And it's directed by Alex Proyas, which is quite disappointing because he directed iRobot, he directed Dark City, which were great sci-fi films, and then we have Gods of Egypt, which is absolute garbage. Number 4, The New Mutants. Surprise, surprise. I hated this film. I wanted this film to be over. I wanted to walk out of the theater. I really seriously wanted to walk out of the theater, but then I went with friends, and, you know, that would be awkward if they stayed in the theater and I left. So it was so bad. Who would have known that the final film in 20th Century Fox's X-Men franchise would be like their worst film? Like, it is the worst film in the X-Men franchise. It is so bad. Number 3, Unfinished Business, starring Vince Vaughn and Tom Wilkinson and Dave Franco. It's garbage. It is garbage. It is not funny at all. Like, they're trying so hard to be funny in this movie. It never gets funny at all. It's annoying. Okay, you wanted to curse at the screen. Number 2, Dreamcatcher. Me and my brother paid to watch this movie because we wanted to see what came before it. It wasn't a trailer. It was actually you heard of the Animatrix? You know, the Animatrix anime? So, we found out that the only way to watch one of the Animatrix animes on the big screen, it's called Flight of the Osiris. The only way to watch that was to watch Dreamcatcher. It was like watching a trailer, you know what I'm saying? Like they told the audience that the Flight of the Osiris from the Animatrix is going to debut on the big screen with Dreamcatcher. So that's the only reason why we went to watch Dreamcatcher, okay? And the Flight of the Osiris was obviously worth it. Dreamcatcher wasn't, because that was a really bad movie. It had an alien coming out of a guy's bum, okay? I'm thinking, like, how do you come up with this stuff? This is supposed to be a serious alien movie, and you have aliens coming out, alien slugs coming out of the characters' butts. You know what I'm saying? Okay, number one. This is the worst movie I've ever seen, and I literally said that this movie sucked once the credits popped up, okay? I watched this for free, okay? And this is a horror movie, too. It stars Anna Paquin. It's called Darkness. I don't know what the hell it was about, but it took place in a haunted house. It was a little bit scary, but it was just a bad movie. I don't remember why it's bad, because it was completely forgettable. But I just know that I watched it for free. I had advance free tickets to watch it. And once the movie ended, I said, that movie sucked. Oh boy. And that's that. Those are the worst movies I've ever seen in the theaters. They are not the worst movies I've seen overall, because I've seen a lot of bad movies at home. These are movies that I paid for a theatrical experience and ended up coming out of theaters telling myself that, okay, what a waste of time and money. So why don't you let me know what are some movies that you watched in the theaters that ended up sucking, that you couldn't believe you paid to watch? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, if you enjoyed watching this video, you want to see more, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation, also follow me on Twitter, Ragin Nation. My name is Alex, thanks for watching. See you next time. Peace.